Obviously,
Yes,
you
an
have.
average Clovia user buys 15 pieces from us in a year, which is pretty
Wow.
much her entire, Clovia drawer or whatever lingerie drawer.
Hi, today we have with us Neha, founder, director of Clovia. Today, Clovia features in the top 10 lingerie brands in India with a valuation of over 300 crores and over 2 million customers in repeat sales. They sell one product every 3 seconds. Tell us more about Clovia and what this brand stands for.
The whole genesis of Clovia brand was when we launched was or the problem that we identified was that there was no connect between people who were making lingerie and people who were using lingerie. Which, by the way, making, selling, buying, in many cases was all happening through men. And women were the end users and not really playing any role in the decision process in the entire chain. So this, when we identified this problem and decided to solve it, the first governing principle that we set for our brand was that we will have a direct connect with a consumer and we'll hear from her directly on what she wants, whether she likes what she has, what we gave her or not. So that's what the brand stands for, an intimate relationship with our users. So I mean, we don't want to preach. We want to say that don't be so serious in life. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to relax. It's okay to live life. And so then, when a girl dresses up in the morning, those 10-15 seconds that she takes to put on a lingerie and looks at herself in the mirror once, those 15 seconds we want to be completely joyful, and the entire brand is centered around that.
The Clovia first hit the shelves in 2013, right? Reflecting back, what challenges you have faced both as a woman leader and also as a startup?
So the two challenges that we faced and then we decided to work around it are one, how to make, what to make, and then how to tackle making of it. So we took the 2 years, first 2 years from Chloe to Clovia journey was like a warm-up period for us, or a preparation period for us, during which we set up our technology. Because every 100 miles, it's almost like a language changes faster every few miles, but every 100 miles women change in terms of not just how they look and how they are structured from tall to short, and but also their preferences on fabric, because climate changes, cultural changes. So again, so many styles, so many fits, so many sizes. Then a typical bra has anywhere between 12 to 28 sizes. So then, how do you manage how much to make of what? So first we built technology to capture feedback very fast and an algorithm to crunch those thousands and millions of data points. In fact, today we capture about 2.8 million data points every day. In total, we have 140 million data points repository, which guides us for the, like a North Star where to go. So this algorithm then finally started to direct us by giving one very simple score to each part of our product, whether it's pad or elastic or a fabric, and overall the product, whether to make more of it and then how much to make of it. Today, as compared to any player in the market, any brand in the market, we work with relatively much lesser working capital. We work with only 2 months of inventory, and that's also including our growing channels, offline channels. But on our online channel, Clovia.com, for example, is just about 40 days of inventory. It's that fast moving. At any point of time, 80% of inventory in our warehouse is fresh, just about 45 to 60 days old. So that's, even at the scale we are able to, even at 3 million units stacked in warehouse, that's where we are.
So using technology for collecting feedback, absorbing it, making sense out of it, and also in the supply chain. Right?
On the supply chain also, we did something interesting. When you have to offer, when you're catering to so many customers, so you have to give them so many different options also. And then, but you only have initially a small amount of money to invest in inventory. He started to speak with the people working in these factories, as production in charges or quality control, but people who are really knowledgeable about running production, are as enthused about quality as we are. And we set them up with small units. So they brought in labor and their expertise and machinery, etc. We co-invested them with them in machinery. And we confirmed their order book for a year and a half. But over 2 years' time, this effort bore fruit. First of all the capex was returned back to us. Secondly, the numbers grew. The minimum order quantity grew from that small number to a much better manageable number, and it gave us a big competitive advantage over other brands.
So the fact that top 10 players in a lingerie business only account for less than 20-25% of the share. How is Clovia disrupting this market and winning the wardrobe share?
So what I think this whole internet first step that we took helped us connect with 900 cities instantly, some 22,000 pin codes instantly. Now I can tell you for 22,000 pin codes, I can fine tune and tell you what is the size preference of that size, fabric, fit preference of that pin code. And so today when we are launching offline, I mean, it's very interesting. In Delhi, for example, if I take any North Delhi market, from street to street, I've seen preferences change. So that really helped us consolidate our understanding of customer, and then keep launching products which are relevant to the customer sitting wherever she is. And then obviously it helps that we are it's easy to shop. You can just shop from your mobile anytime, from the privacy of your home. In fact, when we had launched 7 years back, at that time internet was still accessed from desktop, and almost 80-85% of it from office desktop. So we had this button on top of our website which was like a switch, on-off switch. So if you click the off switch, then
somebody's watching you click it off, right?
Yeah, all the images will go dark. Yes, only when you go on the image, then you can just see, hover on each image and see. So
it's a screen that you can only see.
Yeah, so we became that's how much we were listening to our customer and solving her problem one by one. So our packaging is all discreet, doesn't say Clovia, doesn't say lingerie, nothing on top. When we return, when a customer is to return her box, I think we are the only player who says that the delivery person, the pickup person, doesn't have to check what is inside. So there's this trust that we and our customer have, that she would have given the right number of pieces and the right product. So we built a lot of these nuances in our system to cater to the uniqueness of our category.
COVID, which obviously had affected the retail journey for a lot of brands. Clovia is currently available in about 250 plus retail brands. So how was an impact of COVID on you? Was it a boom or was it a bane for your business?
I think now that COVID is reality of life, no point calling it a bane. We can only look at the boon side of it. So, interestingly, we saw some of our poor performing stores started to receive much higher footfalls, because they were outside of prime shopping area. They were in residential areas, and people were more comfortable just going on those smaller markets. So the small fledgling, and these stores also had lesser rent because they were not at prime footfall areas. Because there was so much work from home, the usage of bras had gone down. We had, well, that's an interesting tidbit that we saw, but we saw that it's going down, and we moved a lot towards loungewear and casual at-home clothing. So, AM to PM, so you can basically get out of bed and take a Zoom call comfortably in it. So while our bra sales sort of stalled or did not move, did not grow, but every store of ours, we registered a same store growth over last year in January and February, non-COVID month. So we worked very hard in changing the product mix.
We've seen the lingerie market growing at double digit, reading somewhere about 14-15%, expected to reach about $6.5 billion in 2023. How are you scaling up to take a larger pie?
India jumped about 2 years, I think, when it came to internet adoption. So when, right now people are at groceries and home furnishing stage, a large, the funnel is starting from there, but slowly it is trickling down to apparel, and very soon I think it will reach to us also. We are already seeing a scale in customer adoption, but I think we are in next 2 years we'll see a much larger shift, and it's going to be like a massive movement towards online.
And another question to it: how can banks help you to scale your business in the journey?
On two counts, I feel that banks should help us. One is, of course, very direct on digital payments. In last 5-6 years, we've seen some big seismic movements happening, starting from demonetization to now COVID. Banks with all their might on marketing and the millions of customers they connect with, or they haven't yet connected with, when they do more retail banking or non-digital format banking, there should be an effort to move people away from cash currency. I think it will also help a lot in social issues when people have better control over their money. When it comes to financial decisions in a household or managing money, it is still a male dominant. So I think women need to be told to develop an independent thought process when it comes to finance.
Yes, there is a paradigm shift in people using technology uh, when it comes to receivables as well as for payables. The UPI case in point, 2.2 billion transactions in the month of November. Who would have thought?
Yes.
Growing rapidly. So there are people who are adopting to it, and it's also convenience at the same time, which is allowing them to use an alternative way, more safer and more connected. If you were to talk about 2 or 3 things for them to scale, what would that be? And online, retail, what is that they should keep in mind?
I think online versus retail, if you ask me, then there is no one right answer to it. One can say, we chose online, so it gave us what it gave us with very little investment, relatively lesser investment. We could reach out to a much wider world. Actually, boundaries are now very, very blurred. It's about your business model and what you think will work for you and your personal strengths also. I would say that don't shy away from marketing your product. Very important. You may have a great product, but unless you market it, it won't. Always earmark money for marketing. Always be a little from in internet, e-commerce specifically. Customers have become very, very delivery or service centric as well. It's become a big part of their experience. It's not just the product, not just the post purchase service that you will give, but also how fast, how well you are delivering is a big part of your experience, and that will also impact your repeats, and also so keep some time, energy left to build your scale operations also.